welcome to Talking Shit.
What are we going to talk about today?
Ooh, we're going to talk about gender roles. So, but before we go into that, I want to say that we have started getting some requests from people as far as like what they want us to talk about in an episode. So, if you have a request, reach out to us or leave a comment.
So, one of the requests that we have, and we're getting things together. So, in the next couple episodes, we are going to do one of the requests. It is somebody wants us to talk about sex versus making love with all the pornography there is in the world today. So, we will be having an episode coming up about that. But it's kind of a touchy subject, so we want to kind of make sure that we have our ducks in a row before we go spitting off at the mouth. If you had any,
Lacey,
but whatever.
Lacey, not Lacey. Lacey doesn't anymore. Haley pukes at the mouth.
So no, I think I'm doing a lot better.
You're doing so.
Like I don't really. I'll even pause before speaking a lot of times now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about gender roles. And
I'm sure this is a touchy subject for people too.
You know what? It probably is. I'm super excited about it because and it's
well, the reason I say it's probably a touchy subject because there's all the different things in the world now where people identify as she, they, them. I don't know all the pronouns, but like,
yeah,
especially when you start putting gender roles into that, I don't know where all that, but I'm sure that there's going to be some things that people aren't going to like what we say or agree, but just know that like, there's no ill intention here. We're just talking.
Well,
and giving our 2 cents and our opinions.
Well, and that's the thing. Everything about what we talk about is purely only from like our life experience and what's made us evolve as people in relationships, friendships, whatever. Okay, so I think that when you think about gender roles, a lot of my friends make fun of me, and here we go, because I don't pump my gas, and when my gas tank is low, I say literally to him, I'm too pretty to pump my gas.
But there's other things that like, he feel like I'm trying to think that like you do in exchange for him, like
well, there's
laundry or things like that. It's a kind of a give and take. It's
right.
Not just like, hey, my gas, like you really are just that much of a princess that you're like, I need my gas.
Yeah,
there are women out there who are like that. I won't touch.
And
I mean, you'll do it, but
he'll meet me to pump my gas if he's available. But I mean, obviously, I can pump my gas. So, but the biggest thing, and I've been divorced, and so I reflect back to my prior marriage, and just to preface that, like, we are great friends. He's remarried, and his wife is one of my best friends. So my experience with him is completely different than her experience with him, and he's I mean, he's actually the contact on our security system for our house. So we're very, very close to him. Lots of respect and love there between my husband, myself, and my ex and his wife. But anyway, so when I was married to him, I stayed home. I did.
That's what I was gonna say. What is
Yeah.
When you think of gender roles, what's the first thing you really typically think of?
Well, I think if you think of gender roles, and it's pretty simple, and it's really only because we were raised this way, and this is the way society has forced us to think, is.
But what if you like that?
Well, and it's to each their own, whatever works. So, and that's exactly where I'm going with this. So, a basic gender roles are most women do cooking, cleaning, whatever inside the house, and then men do the outside of the house, which is funny because when my husband and I moved in together, that was kind of our plan, but it didn't work out that way, and I'm glad. But when I was married previously, all he did was work. We had 3 kids at home. And we had a nice house. He provided a very nice life for us. We never needed or wanted for anything, but there was a lot of problems with that. We didn't communicate at all. There were days that I was tired. I mean, I had little kids at home, and I had school functions, and I did take care of the majority of stuff in the yard. I did all the cleaning, and the laundry. And then as our relationship started to unravel, I started to get very bitter.
There's also been times where you played all the gender roles, and I know that's where I stand. I love traditional gender roles. Trust me, I do. The one thing I don't like about it is I was never the type to stay at home mom. Even if I was given the option, I don't think I would have wanted to be a stay at home mom.
I loved it.
I love my kids. I loved taking care of them, but I loved contributing. I loved going out. But So with that being said, I never really, to be honest, I never got the opportunity to do that, but I don't know that I would have.
Well, and this
I
is the
played
thing.
all roles, I feel like. So yeah,
My older children, that I have four, and so my older children got that experience, but it gave them some financial responsibility too, because he worked, I didn't, and we had a nice house, we drove reliable nice cars, and so there was not always a lot of extra funds. So like, where we lived at the time, Wednesday mornings there was $5 movie or free movies, but then there was a popcorn box for $5 through the summer. And so every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, we got up and I said, popcorn for breakfast. So we got $15.
and see, yeah, there's ways you can make it.
Yeah, we did parks a lot. We did geocaching. We did all kinds of fun, free stuff. One thing that my ex did was always got us a pool pass so I could take the kids swimming.
And it's probably, I can only imagine raising kids. You still have Hudson, who's pretty small, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine raising kids this day and age and like one parent trying to stand, not because I just can't literally imagine it. How do people afford it these days? It's
Right,
sad to
right.
me that like, if if you want, you can't have that option. So like for my daughter, Kayla, she can't stay at home. They just literally can't afford
Yeah.
it. So luckily for her, she manages the other gym here, and I just created a room where she can take her kids.
But there are very few people that have that opportunity. When my ex and I had um, my daughter, so then there were two children at home, and daycare then, I mean, she was born in
What are
2003.
daycare costs these days?
I don't know now, but I think that we paid like it would have been like $800 a month or something like that back then. That was in 2003, and honestly, he was only making like $15 an hour at the time. So we had a small house, very affordable, but he and I expected to go back to work. I never expected to stay home, and he just came to me and said, just basically your paycheck's going to go to pay daycare, and I really, really just want you to stay home. So he would,
See, in that aspect, I would agree with. Like,
yeah,
if your whole paycheck's gonna
it's
just
still
go
that way.
to have somebody
Yeah,
else raise your
it's still that
kids,
way for a lot of
then
people. But one thing he did was, and kind of, it's still like it's a joke, but so he would give me like $5 or $10 a week, and that would be my fun money because Lacey was a baby. So, Mason was like 4 or 5 years old. So that was like fun money. So, at that time I could take Mason putting, and it was $1 at
Yeah.
a little place, and he would putt, or we'd go down to the little arcade and he knew that he had $5. That wouldn't, you can't do anything for $10 now. But I would say Mason growing up that way, he is probably one of the most responsible children of mine financially,
Mhm.
because we couldn't indulge, and he wasn't raised to indulge. But now I have Hudson, so I have Mason, Lacey, Nolan, and Hudson. Hudson, who is 8, lives in a two-income household where we make very good money, and we take him on lots of vacations to travel the world, and he
My
gets
oldest used
like,
to say things like that. She's like, you baby her, you give her so much more. It's not that baby to one or the other. It's
yeah,
I was in a different situation raising
yeah,
Kayla and Hallie together than I was once Kayla was out and just finishing raising Hallie. It
yeah.
wasn't, I mean, maybe I spoiled one a
Right.
little bit more,
But that's the thing.
it's
So
the
the gender
difference.
role. So, I mean, that gender role that I was in when I was married before, I didn't quite appreciate it though, because what happened is we didn't communicate. And on the days that I was stressed out, he was like, "Oh, I pay the bills, I work." And I'm like, your house is clean, your laundry's done, your kids are taken care of. I literally made every meal, cut meals up for him, and made him lunches.
But here's all the other
We
aspects.
didn't respect each other.
Correct. And I feel like not that I know personally
Wait, I'm
from
gonna I'm
myself.
gonna retract that. It's not that we didn't really respect each other, because that's one thing that really wasn't missing, I don't think, from our marriage. We didn't appreciate each other
And
and communicate that.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So what I was gonna say is, I think men, one of their biggest things with, like, I feel like they appreciate a wife or their mother of their child staying home and taking care of kids. But I feel like on the flip side of that, when a mom's had a bad day and she's been busy, 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 busy going, and then a dad has a bad day and he's been go, go, go,
Yeah.
going at work. This is the first thing. well, I mean, I've been busy at work all day and you want me to come home and you want me to take care of the kids and help
Yeah.
you with the kids. That's probably men's number one complaint.
Yeah.
And I see both sides of it. I feel like as women, like they're going to work all day, not to discredit that they shouldn't help you raise the kids or they shouldn't help. I feel like a simple, it might be it might sound simple, it might not just be this simple. On days like that, maybe find a good support system that can just say, like, let me take your kids for dinner tonight, or a
Yeah.
babysitter, somebody that will always be there when you get, and that way it doesn't create the animosity. Because once I feel like it starts there, it just keeps trickling and trickling. And women, we build it up inside of us, and then men, I feel like they build it up, and then it becomes an argument when it really doesn't. Like, you both have the same goal in mind. It's just he had a long day, you had a long day, so kids can't take care of themselves.
Surprisingly, who does that the best? Lacey and
Oh.
Jade. And so funny, they just had a baby, and she's 4 months old. And the other day, she's almost 5 months old, but the other day, Lacey, we were talking, and she said that Jane came home, and Jane goes to school and he works. I
Yeah.
mean, the dude is just, he takes care of his girls very well, emotionally and physically, whatever. So he came home, and the house was a mess, and he was like, "So, like, what'd you do today?" And she said that she sat there.
Not a damn thing, and don't you worry about it.
Well, they really understand and love each other the best. So she said, Mom, I just kind of sat there and I was like, I held the baby. And that's what she did. The house was a mess and she held the baby all day. And you know what Jade did? He cleaned the house. And I can tell you, since that baby has been born. Now Lacey she's my daughter. She likes things clean and organized. And now as a teenager, she wasn't like that. But now that she has her own place, it kind of comes together. I go over there often. It's always clean, dishes are done, trash is out. But man, I'll tell you what, she stays home. And Jaden, he cleans the house.
Well, I think that, I mean, unfortunately, I think gender roles are a dying thing. And it's not because I don't think people want to be in the gender roles. I don't think women are saying, there are some women, and like I said, I was one that say, I don't want to stay at home. I don't want to just, I want to contribute. But I don't feel like we're really having a choice with the way the world is
Economy
going
is,
and
yeah.
the economy. It's
Yeah.
just, if the man that would go out and work has to make a very good amount of money to be able to support his wife and his children. But here's the thing. So let's talk about, if you say they don't own a home, or say they want to buy a home, it's almost $200,000 to buy probably a home in a medium neighborhood, medium-sized house. I mean, and you know that you're really, like, you could probably find something cheaper than that, but an average house is probably guaranteed $200,000. Now, how much do you think a person has to make to be able to afford a house like that? Just a one person household that also, say, has two kids and a wife to take care of.
Well, this is what you need to choose, though. Like for me, when we owned a nice house and we had nice cars and we stayed home, but we didn't go on vacations. We didn't do the extra. We could not afford it. We didn't go out to eat. I had a budget for groceries, and so if you want to stay home, now I get it. Things are expensive. I manage rentals. I know how much it costs. Okay. But if your family, if that's what works for you and that is what is important to you, you'll make it happen. And I know that because my daughter's doing it.
Well, I mean, you'll make it happen, but I mean, there's lots of sacrifice. Here's a like,
Lots of sacrifices. There was when I did it too.
and I mean, well, sacrifices food wise. Going to the store for just me a week, and I mean, I eat fairly simple. It's almost $200. Just me. I can't imagine. I said the other day, I said, I'm so glad my kids are raised. I'd never have anything. I'd be poor all the time because, I mean,
I mean, that's a
everything.
lot though for us, I mean,
You spend, I'm sure you like,
Well,
is it
if
like
it's just
$1,000 a week for your
no,
household?
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the four of us. We eat a lot of chicken. I can buy 2 packages of chicken, but we eat like chicken and rice. We eat a lot of salads. And really, ultimately, that stuff when just feeding the four of us. Now, my other kids come over often to eat for dinner. So I'm talking about just our four that are in our house. I can spend, if I'm not buying a lot of extra stuff, snacks and whatever, I could spend about $250, $300 and have plenty for us to eat for the week for all three meals too, because I make breakfast every single morning for all of my guys. All three of my guys have something for breakfast that I make every morning.
I just don't know how.
And I have stuff for lunches, just in case one of us is home for lunch. But now I'm talking frozen stuff, like so it's not stuff that we eat all the
Yeah.
time, like frozen pizzas. But you know, I can make a budget work for our groceries. And I don't leave a lot in my fridge to waste. I don't, because I don't.
I feel like it's just so I wish that like there was just a pill for me to take to maintain my nutrition so that I can just stop going to the
No,
store and
it is
spending all
expensive.
of that
It is.
money.
I think it was way more expensive, a year or two ago for sure. And I've seen
I
the.
think it's more expensive a year or two ago
Oh
than it
yeah,
is now.
there were times when I would get what I get now, and I guess it just depends on what you buy,
Yeah.
But I would walk out of there and spend $400 or $500, and I'm like, what the hell?
See, that's how I feel every Sunday. I'm like,
But I don't overbuy our food anymore either. I feel like I was overbuying food. I don't do that. Now, I keep my pantry stacked because if you know my nieces and my nephew, when they come to Auntie's house, they expect snacks and we don't have
see, I don't buy any of that kind of stuff. What am I doing wrong?
but they don't come over every day. I mean, it's like once a week or, every so, but yeah, and Hudson takes his lunch every day. I buy what we need and that's it.
Well, I mean, hell, I mean, can't afford to buy any more
Yeah,
than
you
what you
can't
need
afford to stock
anymore.
up. Right.
So, and gender roles, obviously, women mostly like what you left off with, Lisa. Women typically are the ones that are expected to do
And that's
the
because
chores at home.
that's how we
like
were raised. That's what
correct.
society says we should do.
So when somebody says gender roles to me, what comes to mind is like I think of like a 50s household where the wife
Yeah.
is like waving at the husband as he leaves. I mean, don't get me wrong.
But you know what? She's
Beautiful.
already up and she's
She's
dressed.
cooked breakfast. She's
Yeah.
got those kids
She
ready
has
to
her
go to
dress
school.
on. Yeah. Well, that's just not how we live.
It's not
now.
how, no.
It's not conducive
So
to our
we've
lifestyle.
kind of switched and changed things to, fit more of the way society is now. But yes, typically chores for a woman would be like, the laundry. And I'm not call them chores. I mean, they are chores, but
Yeah.
like laundry and keeping the floor clean and, put away. If you stay on, it's typically not hard to do. But, that's, and then a man doing the outside stuff, like you
Yeah.
said.
So, do you think, like, and you talk about the 1950s, they had the lifestyle where the man worked and he paid the bills, and because he made the money, she took care of the house. So, do you think that even if a woman works and a man makes more, that constitutes her having to do more as far as chores? What dictates that? What dictates who does what at home? Because
Your own each and every relationship is probably different. I love looking. I've never had the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't think I would have liked it, like I said, but I've never been given the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom and just take care of my kids. I've been given the opportunity to be a stay-at-home dog mom, but I get bored. I just
Yeah.
get bored. Once the kids are, and this is later on in life when my kids are, gone. So once there's just one or two people in the house, it's pretty easy to keep it clean. So I think it just varies on each different relationship and
Yeah.
what you decide. I mean, there's some women who, go out there and mow the yard or BD or, I mean, I like doing things outside. I wouldn't mind mowing the yard.
I
It's
did
just
all
I can't probably be trusted on. I have a
No,
huge yard.
that's true.
I
Yeah.
can't be trusted on a zero-turn mower.
You
I will
can't even be
I'll,
trust mower.
I'll hit a house, I'll hit a car, I'll hit a mailbox,
You can't
I'll
even
drive
be
it in my
trusted with a
pond.
push mower. Well, and so this is the thing I've experienced.
I have a really
So-
funny story.
Oh Lord, do we want to hear it, or are you good?
Yes, it involves more. So when I lived in Highland Springs, I had, because I said I can't do zero turn. That's just
Yeah.
bad. I went and I bought me a John Deere little tractor from Lowe's, and I was so proud of myself. So every week I would just get out there on my riding lawnmower and I would ride, and do the lawn. It wasn't that big, but I was not pushing it, by the way. It was just too much. So my girls one time, they thought they were going to be super sweet and they were going to mow the yard for me. Well, I had an area in my garage that
I
I
love
like.
that you said they thought you were going to be super sweet.
This is so funny to me. So I had an area in my garage that I used like for my workout area if I wanted to do something at home. So I had a rug and it had a couple, equipment on it. So I don't know how this happened, but somehow my lawnmower ended up on that rug. And so my kids started the lawnmower, and typically you don't put the blade down till you're actually on the grass and out of the they're just as bad as their mom. Apparently I didn't teach them or their dad. So they put the blade down in the garage. Well, it was sitting on a rug. It was not there. So I come home to this, and then my neighbors across the street are two military guys that like are housing together, and they see my kids. Kayla was in high school and Hallie was in middle school. They see my kids and hear it as they're sitting on their front porch, and they're like, they walk over, do you need help? So I get home and my new tractor has a rug all tore up in it. And so I was like, I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't surprise
Yeah.
me.
So
Well, you
I'm
know,
not good. I'm not good at doing the men gender roles. I
yeah.
mean, I'll stick to the female things.
That's the thing, so I did when I was previously, I cut the grass and like I said, I mean, he was gone. What's he gonna do? He literally got up and went to work and I didn't mind doing all that stuff because I really liked staying at home, but my life is completely different now. So then I transitioned into being a single mom. I really had to do it all. And really being a stay-at-home mom certainly prepared me for being a single
Yeah.
mom, because I was alone a lot. But now in my situation, it's funny because when Joe and I moved into our house and we had a lot of conversations and we had decided that I would do the inside, he would do the outside. Well, then all of a sudden, like would have my son
You would at least supervise the outside
yeah,
and tell him what to
right,
do.
yeah. Lines, no. My son owns a landscape company, so pretty much like he was mowing our grass, and then I'm thinking, get stuck with this deal. Like I have to work, do all the inside stuff. You're supposed to do the outside stuff, but my boy cuts the grass. So like,
Where did that?
yeah. So I started getting some animosity, and we actually, had a conversation about it. I'm like, listen, but now, kids have moved out, so he does do the outside stuff and mows the grass and
So
stuff.
let me ask you this: when you were in your stay-at-home mom, did you feel like you had less authority over things because you were just a I don't want to say just stay-at-home moms are okay, like that
It's
is a
hard.
job.
Yeah.
That's a
Did
real
I have
job.
less authority as far as what? No.
Like just
Uh-uh.
anything, just anything. Did it make you
No.
feel like your husband was above you and like he had the final say and like like
No.
no,
He didn't.
it wasn't you weren't
No,
treated
he
okay.
never treated me that way at all.
Because I
No.
feel like sometimes that's what they struggle. I feel like sometimes maybe women, that's what they would think and struggle. Like,
Yeah.
well, if I stay at home and you're going out and making all the money and you're doing all
No.
this, does that mean I have less
And I'm
right
sure
to
that
say my opinion or to spend
he would
money the
tell
way
me,
that I
he would
want
say,
or to
like,
make the
so
decisions?
we had a thing where like if you spend over $100, like you talk to each other, but he was allowed to do, and everybody knows I love to do house projects. I was allowed to do like one house project a year. Well, that's really all we could afford. And at tax time, we'd get our money and we'd do our house project, whatever it was, and we agreed on it. Now, he was pretty vocal as far as like things he liked in the house and
Oh, so that's what I was gonna ask too.
yeah.
Did you get to make all the decisions like decorating? Did he have input on that?
Yeah,
Or
he
was it
definitely had, like, my husband now is a blank canvas for me. Like, he said no pink in my house. My house has pink in it. Like there that my our house now is exactly my taste, and that makes him happy that I'm so happy with our home. But my ex has been like, I mean, if I wanted a project and I was like, we need new appliances. So one year we got new appliances. We had the old gross roll, of vinyl on the floor. So he tiled the entire floor because it was something I wanted. But he did help make those decisions on what he wanted the house to look like. Where now my husband now is like, okay, is this what you want? But gender role wise, he never made me feel, really, if he was ever watching the kids and they were acting fools, he literally would say to them, "You wait till your mom gets home." Yeah, oh yeah, that's exactly what he said. But that was, I kept our house going.
Mhm.
He never had to worry about a thing within our house. I never had to worry about,
Brings me to the next point.
yeah, I never had to worry about, and my life was very simple and peaceful. I
So
didn't
you
have
would
much
think
stress.
in gender roles, the men are the disciplinary and the woman is the soft. I feel like things kind of change that way too, because like what you just said, you wait till your mom get home. So back in the day, I mean, I don't know, but my mom probably said it to me, but I don't think I was really scared of my dad. You wait till your dad gets home.
My
Oh,
mom would say,
you're
"You
gonna
wait
get
till
home.
your dad gets home," and then my mom would fuel my dad, and my dad would freak out on us. My dad wasn't even really mad at us. My mom told my dad he was mad at us.
Yeah. And see, when I was married, it obviously wasn't their dad, so he wasn't going to discipline. So I do remember, like certain times when,
Oh, my husband
when your
now,
mom
he
gets home.
disciplines
But
my kids.
typically in gender roles, men are the
Yeah,
disciplinary and the women carry
yeah,
but we're just different type of women, I guess.
right.
But
Yeah. I've always been the iron fist with my kids. I mean, I was the stay-at-home mom, and then I was a single mom. And so there's really not too much. But if my children, any of our kids, if they raise their voice at me, there's a trigger in my husband that there's no turning back. If you disrespect me, that no, that's it. And all of my kids know that. He has set that expectation. And honest to God, the way he is in our house, because he was a Marine, he doesn't say much to them, but when he says something, that's it. There's it. And it has stopped so much bickering between my kids.
Really?
It's been very peaceful. Yeah. And but again, I am the majority of the disciplinarian. He's kind of a softie until it comes to me.
So where do you stand with gender roles? Do you like them? Do you agree with them?
I think to each their own, really, whatever works. Like, I love that some women stay at home and they make so many sacrifices. They don't get to buy the hair products and the makeup and the clothes because they're making sure that everybody else is taken care of. And there's some stay-at-home moms that don't have those sacrifices, but a lot, I would say the majority do. So I have mad respect for that. Man, it's hard. It is hard. It's draining. It's emotional. Uh, but man, a working mom's hard too.
Neither one gets any more or less credit. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I know staying at home with kids all day long, it's just not for me. But those people that are, I know that like, especially if you have more than one, that you're just not getting a break all day long. You really are running. Like you get this one taken care of, then this one, then this one,
Hmm.
then the next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and your husband's like, "Where's dinner?"
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing I would say, so in my marriage now, even though we had set the expectation that this is how it's going to be, it really didn't work because as my career grew, obviously I got busier. I didn't have as much time. When we cook dinner, I mean, there are very few nights that one of us isn't helping the other cook. Now, there are some nights, I mean, there was a time where I have Hashimoto's, so my thyroid, where I was absolutely exhausted. And I literally called my ex-husband and I'm like, "You're on ride duty tonight." And I told my husband, "You're on kid house duty, whatever." And I sat on the couch. And I don't do that,
Oh, no.
and they neither one of them questioned me because I usually do so much and just stepped away from the stress. But in my house now, I would say absolutely. Now I clean the house and stuff like that, but I usually clean it during the week while he's at work, so he's not there to help me. But if I go to lift the trash can to take the trash out, he jumps up.
Yeah.
He takes the trash out. If he does I cook, he does the dishes. If we cook together, he does the dishes. Like, I don't do dishes. Now, when he gets in bed at night, he drops his shorts beside the bed.
Where's
I
this going?
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that. But
Boom, that escalated real fast.
well, that's another thing in gender role. Well, anyway, so he doesn't pick up his dirty clothes. When he gets in the shower in the morning, his dirty
I'm
clothes,
shook. You pick up his dirty.
absolutely I do. Absolutely.
See,
Absolutely.
to me, that would create animosity, and I would not be
No,
okay
you
with
want to
that.
know why? You want to know why it doesn't? Because when I have my muscles are tense all the time and I get headaches from it and my stress, I carry it in my shoulders. He rubs my neck every single night. Do you think that's fun for him? He doesn't tell me no. Yeah, I'll pick his dirty clothes up any day.
does he get something when the rub is going and
He
going
rubs
and
me,
going?
I rub.
So I feel like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, when
But
it
like you
comes to,
said, it just works.
yeah, it works.
Whatever works
A
for
lot
each
of
individual.
women do have animosity because they pick up their husband's dirty clothes. Well, what if your husband was in a car crash tomorrow? You'd be begging to pick up his dirty clothes.
Well, that's
He doesn't do it to disrespect me. He gets up and we get up at 4 in the morning. We go to the gym. We're on the run all day long. Sometimes we have sports at night or I have appointments. We don't see each other, whatever. And I mean, sometimes he has to cook
maybe
dinner.
it's just a me thing because I feel like I have OCD really bad. Like
Oh, I
has to be where it's at. I sweep and mop my house once a day, so it's like. But I guess once you, I don't know, it would create animosity towards me. But like
And
you
again,
said,
to each
just
their own.
whatever works for their own. Now, I not a fan of gender roles just because it wouldn't have worked for me to be the stay at home. I wouldn't have been happy. However, I will say I do think it is a good thing. And I do think that if more women, men, I mean, let's talk about that too. It can flip flop. There can be working moms and men that want to stay home with the kids because that's becoming more and more of a thing too. But what I was going to say is, I just think that it would probably help a lot of the problems that maybe society has because
It would help a lot of the animosity in relationship.
when both parents are working, who's raising those kids? Where are those kids going? They're going to daycare. You don't get to instill all of those really good core values that are important to you that you were raised with, or maybe not, into your children. And that's where I stand with it. I was very like my kids didn't go to daycares and things like that. Now with Kayla, everybody know I had her at 17. So obviously I was staying at home with her. I was at home with her when I didn't work or when I worked, then her dad or her grandma had her. So I knew who was raised, and that was my biggest thing growing up. I didn't want just anybody, my kids going to just anybody and anybody instilling the values that I wanted in them. So then with Hallie, she went to a lady that like knew very well. She called them, Memo, Papal, and she was there for many years. So that's why I feel like it is a good and a bad thing. That's just my perspective on it and where I stand.
Well, my
with it,
kids
my
have
2
always
cents.
went to not necessarily Hudson went to daycare, but my kids always went to like preschool. So there was times that, and I sure they go in there, they do the ABCs 1, 2, 3s and whatever. They're there for 2 hours. But uh Mason, my oldest, he did go to daycare. And and Hudson went
But
to
raising
daycare.
Mason at that many
was
years
21.
ago, is it life, society, things are so much different then than
Yeah.
what they are now. And I hate to say it,
Hudson
but the
went to
world is
daycare.
just so much more exactly. It's just the world is so much more of an ugly place. I feel like each year it gets uglier. You find, I mean, and I don't know if we're more aware or what it is, but either way, it's yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I think you just have to find what works for your family. And the biggest way to keep the animosity out of the gender role is to have those conversations, have compassion for each other's needs. Very few times do I open my own car door, but very few times do any of my friends open their car door when my husband's there either.
Yeah.
He's just very respectful like that. I've been in both situations, stay at home, not stay at home.
Which do you prefer? You have a
No,
choice.
so
Because
funny.
like I said, I've never given that
After
option, but I want to know like which is what you if
I
you had to pick this dream life that your husband could support the family and there could be enough money to maybe not live an extravagant, but live okay, which would you choose?
it's a really tough question for me because of my job, because don't have to sacrifice anything with my family with my current job, and I still get to contribute. So, but thinking back to staying at home and stuff, and well after we were divorced, I said to my ex-husband, I just want to tell you I'm sorry and tell you thank you for all those years you gave me with our children,
You said that to
because
me. Yeah.
I did not appreciate him while we were in the moment like I should have. And you know, the way we didn't appreciate each other is ultimately what built our animosity and we ended up divorcing. um if I had to choose a role and I knew financially my family could live not an extravagant lifestyle, but if my family could live a comfortable lifestyle, if I could stay at home with my kids, and that's but am all about the kids, you
Yes.
know, that's not for everybody.
And
That's where
since you can't stay at home, you're very, very intentional, even though,
Yes.
I mean, because Hudson's, how old's
He's
Hudson? That's what I knew he was 7 or 8, about making sure that he's still getting, well, he may
Yeah.
not get you every day like the other kids,
Yes.
life changes, and be okay with like life changing and
Yeah.
things happening. And while you may want to do this, you are very intentional
Right.
about making the time with Hudson that he gets
Yeah.
one-on-one time with you or gets a date with
But
you.
I'm
so that he
fortunate
gets-
though, because I chose a career that allows that.
Correct.
But you know, like tonight, I mean, I have showings all the way until 7 o'clock tonight. So I'm busy from 9 a.m. all the way to 7 o'clock. But and I can't pick him up from school today, you know, and that stuff bothers him. It gives him anxiety because I would say 99% of the time I drop him off to the bus and I pick him up from school. So a little change in his schedule is upsetting. But it's also it's good for him to adapt to that. But you know, for me personally, and the way that I love children, because I do not think everybody is equipped to raise good, healthy, normal children. um I think that for me, if I had to choose one over the other, I would stay home.
Well, for me, I would choose neither, and I just want to go on vacation one day. Is that not a lifestyle?
Being a mom being a mom is like the most fulfilling to me
It truly
ever.
is. It really is.
When I was growing up, I never forget this. I was 5 years old, and my mom asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said, "When I grow up, I want to have 10 kids and never get married."
Well, it was at 17, and the moment I found out I was pregnant, that I was, decided, I guess I'm going to be a mom, and I guess I better be excited about it. No, I'm just totally kidding. Obviously, I wanted to be a mom, not that early, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, another thing with gender roles is society puts so much pressure on us to be these moms that do all these fun, fancy things and make all these neat Valentines and whatever. Well, I've always been pretty crafty. Even before the pressure of all that stuff, I always was very involved and intentional with my kids and doing that stuff. Um, but I feel sorry for some of the moms now because they are tired. They don't have the resources to buy that stuff and do that stuff with their kids. And they don't have the support at home sometimes by their spouse. So it's tough.
I follow a
Well, I feel sorry for dads too, though, because they do. And so, not to put all the focus on moms, but you know, they do, man, the pressure on men.
So I follow this girl that I know. We're good acquaintances. She lives here in town. Her name's Marla, and she's a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
And I don't think her husband's like a tech guy, like he does coding and that kind of stuff. But so if you're looking for somebody to follow to like give you good ideas on, she made, I think, a commitment this year that she's not going to shop retail because of prices. So she does like Goodwill haul. She gives you like ideas on like if you need school party
It's
stuff that's
exactly my
cheap.
point. If it's
That like
important, you'll do it.
correct, and it's important to her, so her family makes the sacrifices. She has 2 kids. She
Yeah.
stays home with them. She does what she needs to do.
Yeah.
That
If you want to do it, you can. I mean, you know, I watch Lacey and Jaden, and I'm always willing to help them. Of course, I would never let them go without, but they don't ask for anything. They'll go without before they'll ask me, you know. Now, if they really needed something, they'd ask me. If they need something for the baby, of course. But to watch them and to watch her get to stay at home with that precious little baby that has completely became the center of their universe.
You're right. What do you go
Lovely.
by? Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun because I can say no because I don't have that responsibility, you know.
You can say no, but you
Oh, I
won't
do say no. Oh, I say no. Still have a small child at home, and I have um medication definitely to my children that are still in my house. You know, I've got two boys still in my house. Now if she needs somebody to watch that girl while, you know, she makes a little extra money or whatever, I always make myself available. But you know, like New Year's Eve. she was like, oh, well, and I'm like, sorry, Charlie, I raised my kids. You staying at home with that baby.
Yep.
And she did, and she went out.
Or like the cruise that we're all taking. They're not going because she's not going to be. Such a weird thing. That's a whole nother, but
Yeah.
whatever.
And Haley is let him go. And this is for my middle boy who is his senior year, and it's about him. And my focus is going to be on that. And,
I'm not going to focus on the 26 rest of us.
27 of us. Yeah, no, no, focus is going to be on, I'm going to be there for my kids that are still in school. So, and you know what? We get to go on that cruise because I work so much now. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, life is different now than it was for Hudson than it was my other
Life
kids.
is definitely different. No matter if you're in a female, male gender role, if you're a male in a female role, whatever. Life is,
Female,
whatever. Life can be thrown.
Well, I have
sideways.
one more thing to say about that because I was listening to a podcast just a little bit ago, and this is a lady that's done a lot of research on gender roles, and she said, believe it or not, some of the most successful relationships that she has seen is same gender. And interesting enough, the reason for that is because there's so much controversy in their life and there's so much judgment in their life that they have to be really good for their relationship to work about communicating. So they've taken that communication, on the hard stuff and take it into the relationship where they do talk about like the expectations and kind of lay out their roles in their life, and so that they are more successful
You just
in that.
jogged my mind. I'd be interested. I mean, obviously, I'd be interested on some comments on like what gender roles are like for guys and girls and girls. Like, how does that? I don't
Yeah.
know. How does that work? So
Right.
let us know. I mean, maybe we could do an episode on that. Have somebody on. I don't know. Just spitballing.
I mean, the reality of it is it takes respect and communication. If I don't care if you're guy, black, pink, orange,
whatever.
yeah, if you don't communicate and you don't have those talks in your relationship about what you need, whether it's physical, financially, emotionally, um you're probably not going to be successful. And if you get to a point, and this is another thing, maybe we'll have to do a part two, but if you do when you retire, do those gender roles change? Because I have a friend right now, and it's been a little funny to watch because he's worked, and now he's retiring and he's in retirement mode. So, there's a few times where she's like, he slept in. Well, this dude was up. I mean, there were nights he didn't sleep because they owned businesses and he was working to keep the insurance and da da. So now she's not used to that and she's still working.
So
So
like, why am I getting up when you're still?
right,
Yeah.
right. So
Oh, I
like,
get it.
do
Yeah.
those gender roles change as your life progresses?
That's a good question. I don't know. We'll have to
Yeah.
let us know. Maybe we'll do another episode on that.
If we get questions and comments, maybe we'll have to elaborate some more. So
Yeah. You want to leave us with a good quote today?
Yep. So, and this is so true and it's so simple. The secret to success is to show up. So that isn't just like showing up at your job every day. That's showing up intentionally in your relationship.
Laughing at myself because first of all, my writing is horrible on
Yeah,
our
I'll do
board.
that. We have notes.
The secret to success is to show. I forgot. Apparently, my quote is the secret to my success is the show. You're gonna get a show.
I did get a show before we came in here. No, but really, you show up. You show up no matter what. You show up and you show up with intention.
Yeah. So we'll see you back next week for our next episode. Hope everybody has a great week.
Bye.
Bye.